My office will not allow it. I have brought to the board the request that we return to the federal court, which is where we were 21 years ago, 22 years. And no corrective measures taken. You can do whatever you want, bring all your pala-pala. You will not build on Mauna Kea. The die was cast more than 2 years ago. One call, 36 came to be arrested just of the elders, and 10,000? You think we will continue to allow this? We worship there. The iwis of our kupuna are buried there. We have tolerated commercial science to the point that they continue the desecration. Did you know that we are the ones organizing with Sierra Club to remove 13 tons of trash? Because for years, for the first 20 years of Mauna Kea, the telescope operators wouldn't pay for trash removal, and the county wouldn't go to Mauna Kea. So they left all their trash out for the winds to blow down the Mauna. We cleaned it up with Sierra Club, not commercial science. Mark my words, you will not build on Mauna Kea. We have said it for 50 years. Go back to the lawsuit filed by my office in 2002. At that point, the pleadings say 30 years. Listen to what we are saying. We have tolerated it to the point where our kupuna will be arrested and thousands will come. You will not persevere. You will not build Mauna Kea. Spend all the money you want. If we have to go, we will return. 3 kupunas die, I promise you. The next time we go to the road, there will be 100 to replace each one of them. Don't call our bluff. And the last thing is this. You come here, you do this, you give me a choice, put it on our sacred mountain, or take it to the sacred places of the indigenous peoples of the Canary Islands. No, no, you will not build here. And no Hawaiian will support what you are saying, that you wish to go to the lands of other indigenous peoples. We do not support that. Take your pala-pala. Go home. Stop desecrating our places. You want to call our bluff when we call for those to come to shut down your construction. You will pay the override. Your CDUA permit has expired, people. Even if you proceed to the next step, your lease term has ended, and your lease will not be returned. Mauna Kea is 100% ceded lands, with the exception of the roadway, which belongs to Hawaiian homelands. We are the trustees. We are the trustees of the ceded lands. And the 2 that came here from our board out of 9, open your eyes. The chair of the board and the chair of the ceded land subcommittee are the 2 we have now that were arrested. Next time around, more will come. Mark my words. Mark my words. You want to waste millions? Do it. Do whatever you want. We've had hundreds of 106s. We know what it is. Read my testimony when it comes in September. Do what you will, but you will not build Mauna Kea. And if showing you 20,000 and 36 kupunas going to prison didn't show you that, then come back and we'll have 50,000 and hundreds of kupunas.
That's why we're here to tell the truth. We seen this podcast, a little bit of it. I don't know, maybe he has a different clip. But Joe Rogan did not expose any Hollywood elites like Oprah in this video.
In the last video.
Well, yeah, in this video, but it's the same thing. Same thing.
This that dude that makes the cat videos?
It's not him. It's a different page. But, you know, a lot of people believe these type of conspiracies.
Well, they kind of did expose.
I'm just not a big
they exposed the government.
That's the elites, ain't it?
Not Hollywood elites.
Not Hollywood elites. They dragged it, but that is the elites, though.
But
it's hard to say that
if we start seeing a lot of Hollywood people start just buying land up in Oprah, well, I guess we can't even say they have an agenda. I mean, they're just trying to capitalize off a situation. I think everybody tries to capitalize off situations. So is Oprah wrong for what she's doing?
No.
What did she do? Like,
people are just trying to say, okay, so I don't know if she's bought any land since the fire has happened, but we definitely know that she's bought thousands of acres before.
So how she wrote for that?
I don't know. People might think that she knew it was gonna happen before. I don't know what people think, bro. It's a lot of conspiracies out here. But let's see if this guy can break down what he thinks and what his conspiracy is.
A governor going on television after a massive tragedy where you have, we don't even know the number of people dead yet. You have this massive area that's been burnt to the ground.
Yeah.
And then he starts talking about taking it over for the state. That's an insane position to take.
It is.
Post-tragedy. When people are suffering at their most, they can't even believe it happened.
Yeah.
Tonight from Maui, where Oprah Winfrey recently bought hundreds of acres of ag land in upcountry.
He said in a press conference, he said, we're talking to the Attorney General. He said, I'm talking to my Attorney General to explore options for the state to take over that land and use it to build workforce housing or build a memorial to the for the people who lost their lives.
Joe Rogan and the lady, what's her name again?
I forgot. Tulsi.
They were talking about the government. That clip of them talking about the news was probably an older clip that they threw in this video.
Yeah. How Oprah gonna buy the land if the government got it?
I mean, they probably bought a little. I don't know.
They're trying to. That's how they're trying to paint the picture that they're working together.
I just caught some y'all ain't catch. Why the hell, if nothing's there, why are they building a workforce there?
Bro, workforce housing to make money, to make people work.
Because what they're gonna be doing out there then?
Who knows?
What is workforce housing?
That's what's just messed me out. I was just trying to figure out. You're finna build a workforce housing. Like, who's gonna move out there to? You know what I'm saying? I'm just asking questions. Me, I'm a curious person.
Okay, workforce housing allows mid-income the chance to live in quality, affordable homes in close proximity of their jobs.
Oh, that's not that bad. Now,
so that's just like what most Americans have.
Yeah, so it's like Section 8 kind of.
Yeah, so police officers, teachers, nurses.
No, yeah, so
okay, that don't sound bad.
That's not Section 8.
That don't sound that bad.
Hundreds of acres of ag land in upcountry.
He said in a press conference, he said, we're talking to the Attorney General. He said, I'm talking to my Attorney General to explore options for the state to take over that land and use it to build workforce housing or build a memorial to the for the people who lost their lives.
Joe Rogan, the well-known voice of reason and curiosity, has recently unleashed a powerful call to action in defense of Maui residents. He's taken a stand against elites who are greedily eyeing the land of these islanders, questioning the audacity of anyone trying to snatch away their homes, especially during their most vulnerable moments. The people of Maui, particularly in Lahaina, are deeply troubled by the looming possibility that their ancestral lands might be taken by the state. But here's the twist. It's not just the government at play here. Wealthy real estate investors, developers, and elites are also in the mix, making enticing offers for the fire-ravaged land. So join us as we unravel the compelling story of post-tragedy Maui, where forces both public and private seem determined to grab a piece of paradise from its rightful owners.
I just want to remind all you real estate investors around the world, like Lahaina is not for sale. Please don't reach out to these families and take advantage of them during the most devastating time of our lives.
Just recently, Joe Rogan invited Tulsi Gabbard, who represented Hawaii's 2nd Congressional District in the U.S. from 2013 to 2021, to his show, The Joe Rogan Experience. During their conversation, they delved into the response to the devastating fires that struck Maui. What's really eye-popping is that Joe Rogan brought up some concerning allegations about someone attempting to take away the land belonging to Maui's residents. And surprisingly, Tulsi confirmed Joe's suspicions right there on the show.
But the fears that the people in Lahaina have some of whom, like Archie Kalepa, famous surfer, community leader, Native Hawaiian leaders, families lived in Lahaina for 9 generations. Now being told, well, the state, the governor is looking at taking that land, taking ownership of that land.
Now, here's where it gets interesting. The folks on the show, including Joe and Tulsi, didn't take kindly to the idea of snatching land affected by the Maui wildfires for things like workforce housing or a memorial. They saw it as morally wrong and a breach of people's rights and sovereignty. This news hit the public like a bolt from the blue. People felt that discussing taking over this land
But workforce housing, yeah, the government's gonna come up on that.
Yeah, because they don't own the land. The people still ain't gonna make money off the land.
So they're gonna have to pay rent and stuff like that instead of, them
so
owning the
workforce housing means the home people in the home don't own the house.
No, the government owns it.
So it's like an apartment complex.
That's why I said it's like Section 8.
Yeah, it kind of is like that, basically.
Damn, so they're going to take all the people's homes and make them live in a poor community.
And make y'all pay rent. Y'all ain't paying rent. Y'all been owning that land for 10 years, goddamn. So that means y'all ain't been paying nothing on this land.
That's insane.
Because y'all own it. So we going to take it from y'all, basically. We going to buy it off y'all, or we might just take it.
They're trying to seize it.
Just take it because you still own it.
No.
Well, technically, we really don't own shit.
Yeah, technically you don't
And
own
a motherfucker can come and take your
this,
shit.
Like the houses around here, people that own that shit. I mean, like I forgot what it was exactly.
Land, no.
You can own the land and niggas still could take your land.
Yeah, I've seen videos. I've seen videos.
That don't mean shit.
No, I actually seen. No, I mean, remember that video we
What
seen?
the dude he said the taxes?
Yeah, bro, it was a guy that owned land, and the government kept calling him and was like, "Okay, we need to take this land." Basically, he was pissed. He was like, "Y'all can't take my land. I own this land." They was like, "We can," and they took his shit.
Damn.
The government owns everything.
This shit
it's
ain't
done.
shit.
Press play.
It's none of this shit.
They caught some bodies behind this shit. This they shit.
This news hit the public like a bolt from the blue. People felt that discussing taking over this land right after a terrible tragedy showed a shocking lack of empathy and timing. It felt like an abuse of power and a disregard for the suffering of those affected. Tulsi pointed out that while the state was trying to grab land from folks, they were offering some money to help them survive. She thought it was insane. You see, Hawaii already has the highest cost of living in the whole country. So it was like a slap in the face when the lead disaster response person from the Biden administration proudly said they were giving everyone a measly $700 payment. Tulsi Gabbard didn't stop there. She also shed light on the lack of government help for the communities hit by the Maui wildfires. In the aftermath, neighbors and families had to lean on each other for support and supplies because the government didn't step in. Tulsi even hopped on a plane from the main airport in Maui to a smaller one near the affected area to deliver much-needed supplies to the community dealing with the aftermath of the wildfires. According to Gabbard, the families and communities affected were left in the lurch because the mayor's response was slow. On top of that, the governor's plan to take over the land added to their woes. In Lahaina, folks were deeply worried that the governor might swoop in and claim the land affected by the wildfires. This struck fear into the hearts of a community that had called that land their home for generations. What really riled up the public was the unfairness of it all. They couldn't fathom how the government could try and snatch land away from the locals when celebrities like Oprah Winfrey owned vast stretches of land. In fact, it's no secret that Oprah, who spent over 15 years in Maui part-time, recently went on a property buying spree in the Aloha State. According to a report from a local news outlet, she shelled out around $6.6 million for 4 pieces of agricultural land, totaling a whopping 870 acres in Kula, Maui. 2 of these plots were even sold by Ulapalakua Ranch just last month. One plot covered 520 acres and went for $3.89 million, while the other, spanning 330 acres, cost her $2.47 million. Quite the contrast, wouldn't you say? As if that wasn't enough, towards the end of last year, Oprah Winfrey made headlines once again by acquiring 2 10-acre pieces of land, each for just $100,000. This purchase stirred up quite a mix of reactions from the local residents. Some were concerned that this acquisition might contribute to the displacement of native Hawaiians. It's worth noting that Oprah already owned over 100 acres of land in Maui, which means she now boasts ownership of roughly 1,000 acres on the island.
Media are calling the buy excessive because the millionaire already owns more than 100 acres in upcountry in Hana before buying 870 more acres.
Yeah, I see the outrage now.
Now here's where the public's frustration really kicks in. Instead of trying to push out the residents who've been through so much, people are wondering why the government doesn't make use of some of Oprah's land instead. It's almost like a logical solution staring them in the face, but that's not all. Reports are coming in that in the aftermath of the devastating wildfires, residents whose homes were reduced to ashes are getting unsolicited offers from real estate investors from off the island. These investors are trying to snap up the land that's been ravaged by the fires. These offers are being labeled as predatory by experts, mainly because they're taking advantage of the people's misfortune and desperation. This has led local authorities to step in and take action to protect residents who are not only dealing with the loss of their loved ones, but also the loss of their homes and livelihoods due to these catastrophic wildfires. Goldine Lowe, a Maui resident, got hit with a shocker. Right after the devastating wildfires, she received not one, not two, but 5 offers to buy her house. Damn. And her house wasn't even in the area burned by the fires. It was like these offers came from another planet, completely ignoring the heartache her community had just gone through. One of these offers came from a bunch of real estate folks in Texas. They claimed the housing market in Lahaina was hotter than a summer's day in the desert, and they wanted to buy her house with a big bag of cash. But again, her house wasn't anywhere near the fire zone. It was like they didn't even do their homework and just wanted to take advantage of her. No wonder she felt like they were saying, hey, ready to leave your home in the middle of a tragedy and make some cash? Thankfully, some heroes have stepped in to protect Maui's people and their land. They're shouting it loud and clear, Maui is not up for sale. As one of these heroes is a law professor named Troy Andrade. He's working his socks off to educate and shield Maui residents from these sneaky tricks. The Hawaii Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs has raised a big red flag about these tricky real estate pitches. They're warning folks in Maui to be careful. They're saying that if someone comes out of the blue offering to buy your property, you might end up with way less money than you should. These buyers can be real smooth talkers, making you feel rushed to make a decision, even when you should take your time. To make things even crazier, Hawaii's Governor Josh Green said it's now illegal for anyone to bug Mauians about selling their land. But guess what? It looks like the state itself might be joining the land-grabbing party. People in Maui are standing up, fighting to keep their land, their heritage, and their homes. They're up against not just the local government, but also bigger forces from the state and feds. This is where Joe Rogan stepped in, boldly calling out the elites for their shady dealings. Let's face it, losing...
What's bullshit?
That niggas is really doing that whole ass shit, bro.
Yeah, that shit's actually crazy, man.
I see why people, I'm sorry, I'm not condoning violence. I see why people storm the building.
The government like, man, we've been waiting on this all our life, man. They've been owning this shit. We just been, regulating it. And now
you forgot how America attained Hawaii? They stole it. They pretty much robbed Hawaii.
I never heard that history.
You never heard about the history of Hawaii?
No, I never heard that.
Bro, there was a king there, bro. They made him they kind of tricked him, made him sign a treaty and ended up taking Hawaii from that nigga, under his own feet.
They might have hit the...
Hey, I can see the government hit that, but I don't think...
Nah, definitely not. Oprah just trying to come up. She might put her some public housing.
She might
try to put us some public housing, man, or something like that.
She trying to come up, but
well, we don't know.
She without that burnt out.
She probably, bought her a couple lobbyists.
This is from the state and feds. This is where Joe Rogan stepped in, boldly calling...
Because the Cali is so much for those little houses. Hawaii is probably more beautiful than Cali, bro.
It is. They cost more.
It costs way more. It's the highest place to live in the country.
And everything get exported there, too. You got to remember that. They don't produce nothing. Probably the only thing they probably produce is sugar.
Let's face it. Losing your loved ones, your homes, and even your land all at once is an incredibly heart-wrenching experience. Instead of extending a helping hand to the devastated community, it appears that these elites are trying to entice them out of their rightful possessions. But Joe Rogan is not alone in this fight. The people of Maui have rallied together, making their voices heard on social media and beyond. They refuse to let their community and its values be undermined by those with ulterior motives. It's a collective outcry against what seems like a grave injustice. In the face of adversity, Maui residents are standing strong, united in their determination to protect their homes, their land, and their way of life. It's a testament to the resilience and solidarity of a community that won't be swayed by the interests of the elites and even its government. It's a battle to keep Maui in the hands of the people who call it home. They're calling for unity, telling everyone to spread the word and stand tall to save Maui from those who want to snatch it away. Maui belongs to its people, and they're ready to fight to keep it that way. So what do you think about this wild situation in Maui? Share your thoughts below.
Why did they keep involving Oprah in this?
Because everybody thinks that she's a part of the conspiracy.
Just because she owns land there.
I think that's kind of
I
stupid.
think it's due to like what we saw in the past video, where Joe Rogan and them was talking about how they didn't give any communication and stuff, and they were in the dark. So, you know, when people were in the dark, like I was saying earlier, they came up with all types of ideas, and they're like, it's Oprah, and they hear Oprah and Oprah. So the next thing you know, everybody blaming Oprah.
Who is Alexander and Baldwin? It says somebody named Alexander and Baldwin owns 150,000 acres.
He owns more than Oprah. We ain't heard his name not a single time.
Let me see.
Because he don't got no face likeness and image.
Of
This
Hawaii.
is probably an investment group.
Baldwin sounds so familiar.
That's her last name.
The last name sounds so familiar.
It sounds like that's like a company. Alexander and Baldwin.
Pretty common last name.
Yeah, it is.
No, this is insane. Like, I'm still messed up. Like, okay, y'all know how California have wildfires, right?
Yeah.
You never heard of a whole city get burned for a whole wildfire in California.
Because that's what I'm saying though.
That's why I'm messed up about.
This is what I think.
Because like you see how big the city was burned.
People are rich in California, not everybody, but people have money. They're not gonna. You can't capitalize off them. I'm gonna capitalize off the people that don't have a lot of money.
But you have to have money to live there, bro. A gallon of milk there is $10.
Live there for
but you think everybody is?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Not everybody's rich.
They've lived there for generations.
But they could. I mean, they could burn down Skid Row, and not a single person there could do shit about it.
Where's Skid Row?
That's where all the homeless people live in LA.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They can sell that land.
That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna capitalize off the people that's poor.
I don't know shit about.
If you burn my land in Cali and I got a lot of land, you telling me about come buy my land, and I know it might be worth something in the future. I live like on the rock of California. Hell no, I want my kids to have this land. You see what I'm saying? But if we ain't got no money and we in Hawaii and my kids is fucked up, I might goddamn give you my land.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So this shit is crazy.
People in California gonna have something. I'll go stay in New York.
Shit, I'm gonna stay somewhere else. This is gonna get fixed. I live on the beach. This is gonna be worth something one day. See, Hawaii might be worth something one day that we just don't know.
It already been worth something.
Yeah.
It's one of the.
Yeah, it's the highest cost of living.
The cost of living there is insane, my nigga.
I bet it is, bro.
But yeah, those people there are like
They're
they said 9 generations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they just gonna deal with it so that they can, live by their family. A lot of people do that.
Wow, man, this is crazy, guys. Let us know what y'all think Oprah. What do y'all think Oprah has to do with this situation? Her name's in the wind so much with this situation.
I think she's just an easy target.
If you got money and you successful, people gon'
But her name was
save the world.
Her name was in the wind before she came out with the Rock. So the fact that I think they're more pissed off that she came out with the Rock.
Remember they said Jeff Bezos this and that. He got more money than her. Why they ain't not mad at him? He got money
because her property is closer to that. That city.
A lot of people own property in Hawaii,
but hers was closer to that fire.
So she started, just because she's one of the ones that wasn't touched, she's guilty.
No, they trying to say because
her
house is closer to the fire.
And I think the most thing that makes the most sense, is the government did it because they're the only ones who can actually. So say
they said that people.
She still gotta buy it from you. The government, like y'all said, according to y'all, they said they could take it.
No, I'll show you that video. That's just gonna mess you up. I'll try to roll it. I can find that video.
Because then Oprah wouldn't even want that to work because then she can't get it because the government got it.
They also said
they
also said that people have owned these houses for like generations.
Yeah,
like she said, she's quoted one person for 9 generations. Yeah. That's a long time. 9 generations. That's like that's a long time. That's like 9.
I'm the 5th generation.
Great, all the way to 9
type shit.
I was just told I was 5th.
And the government could never do anything about it. Now they can.
Did you know the government can just take your property? It's called eminent domain. The government can seize private land for public use. The government can seize the land to access natural resources or build infrastructure. The law requires the government to provide just compensation for the land that they take.
Well, hey there, cowboys and cowgirls. If I'm showing up on your For You page and you have no idea who I am, you might want to. Especially if the opportunity to own land in America or keep land that you've bought matters at all. Which I think for Americans is a lot of us. So let's talk about this comment right here. Because the government trying to take land from people is exactly what's happening to me. And what's happening to me can happen to you. What you're basically looking at is the current guinea pig for an attempted land grab in Colorado. And because of the way case law works, what happens in Colorado doesn't stay in Colorado. So if you've watched this far, allow me to elaborate further. Because here's where it gets really interesting. Not only is the government trying to take land that I bought fair and square, but they're trying to force me to share it with the public. Why? because my community wants it. And they convinced the government to come after me. Now you might be wondering, why did they do that? Well, they did it because they've been using my land for a long period of time with permission from prior owners. Now I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but this matters quite a great deal. See, there's a cool thing in America where if you're a landowner and you give the public permission to use your land, it's supposed to protect you from the public one day coming back and trying to take that land from you. And isn't that wonderful for everybody? Private property owners get to share their land with the public gets to enjoy land, and we all go happily about our lives. Not in my situation. Despite prior owners giving permission for the public to use my land, the government, in an unprecedented move, is now trying to force me to maintain that standard of sharing. Doesn't that feel so gross? In addition, they're also trying to take my land. Now, this happens sometimes with eminent domain, but that's not what I'm talking about here. Because in my situation, eminent domain doesn't apply. So instead, the government is attempting to adversely possess my land without just compensation. And here's where that should terrify you. Number one, the government has been taxing my land privately for about 100 years. I also pay private property taxes. I also got a survey done showing that the land is mine. The government had their own survey done showing that the land isn't theirs. And you want to know what they're claiming now? They're basically saying none of that matters. Paying taxes doesn't mean that they have to acknowledge that the land is privately owned. Hope you were sitting down for that one. And they're also claiming that despite having record of it being private property for about 100 years, they've changed their mind. So I'm currently fighting this in court, of course, because property rights. You know, just the good old American dream of being able to own what you bought. So if you've watched this far, you might want to tell your friends. Those of us against this better stick together.
So let's say inflation goes crazy, just absolutely crazy, okay? It's going to affect renters a lot worse because they can raise your rent, right? Okay, now if you're a homeowner or somebody with a mortgage, well, then you likely have a fixed interest rate and you're going to have a set amount due for your mortgage regardless of the value of the money. Regardless of if a loaf of bread is $10,000, that's how worthless the money is, your mortgage is still $800. That's what mine is, by the way. If that's amazing to you, you're living in the wrong places. But anyways, so hear me out. If you are a renter, you're screwed in that scenario. They're going to raise the rent so much that nobody can afford to live, okay? But if you're a homeowner or you have a mortgage, being the bank kind of owns your house too, hear me out, your property taxes, okay? This is where it gets insidious, right? So your property taxes are based upon the value of your home and your land. Well, if money becomes worthless, if bread is worth $10,000, what do you think your $150,000 home is worth, okay? Now, your property taxes are going to be based on that evaluation, meaning your money, which hasn't gone up, but it has gone down in value, will no longer be able to pay your property taxes. And you know what happens when you can't pay your property taxes? The government seizes your property, and you know, maybe that's what it's all been about. I mean, the federal government has been gobbling up land. Look up the Bureau of Land Management and look how much land out west is theirs. And then look up how much used to not be theirs. Then you got these billionaires and foreign nations buying up huge, vast swaths of American farmland. What's that all about? Maybe it's all connected. I don't know. When I figure it out, I'll let you know. Okay, so make sure you like and follow and share this video around to get some more people questioning this stuff, because I feel like I've laid out a path that's starting to feel eerily like the truth.